What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Last year, we did have Analogue announce plans for a highly requested retro system that would be getting a new version from them this year. And while it's a little later than expected, we do have the full reveal, but there's still many questions around a brand new 4K Nintendo 64. We'll dive into that, though, here today. Also, we are going to be talking about Black Friday. As we are getting closer and closer to it now, we are finally getting some promotions leaked out. This one, though, around the PlayStation 5, and then Halo Infinite. Of course, we know that they're moving on. They're Halo Studios now, but we do have some information when it comes to a certain canceled game mode that the developer described as a game changer. So if you guys enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And of course, members to the channel do get Newswave early. If you would like to learn more about that, click the join button down below this video. And we're gonna start today with Silent Hill 2, which came out technically like an early access or early play period about 48 hours or so before its official October 8th release date. And I've been curious to see what the sales would be like for this game, as the franchise, it's well known, but it hasn't exactly done crazy numbers on sales charts or anything like that. In fact, the entire franchise has sold 9 million copies, last we were told by Konami. So think about that. All of those Silent Hill games, 9 million total. Well, we can see this was posted up. This is a slide that was shared here by Wario64. 1 million copies sold for Silent Hill 2. Now, it's important to note this is as of October 11th, so technically this is less than a week, and they say it's internal tracking, and obviously that could also be delayed, and something like they wouldn't have maybe all numbers from retail. Basically, though, once they hit 1 million copies sold, they were ready to make that announcement, and with good reason. As I mentioned, 9 million copies total for the entire franchise. Silent Hill 2, when it first came out on the PS2, early in the system's life, sure, but still took more than a month for that release to sell 1 million copies. So this seems like a very strong release for Silent Hill 2 with this remake and Bloober Team, and also makes me think that Konami is looking at this and then going, oh, we may have something here, so maybe more Silent Hill from Bloober Team down the road, and with this, I assume it'll just continue selling through the holiday season, and then probably over the coming year, so this very well could end up being a 3 to 4 million unit seller, and then at that point, yes, the best-selling release in the entire franchise. Also, we did get some release dates when it comes to more content for Astro, which is an awesome game, and more people should be checking this one out, but Team Asobi did tell us we would have content released for the rest of this year, and they weren't kidding. So in this case, speedrun levels. If you played Astro's Playroom, there were certain levels you could do where you just ran through it as fast as possible. Might take less than a minute, sometimes a little more, but the idea was obviously the fastest time possible so you can go up the leaderboard, say, with your friends list and global leaders, that kind of thing. Well, we can see this over on PlayStation Blog, where we have 5 different speedrun levels set up. October 17th, Building Speed. October 24th, Let It Slide. October 31st, Spring Loaded Run. November 7th, Helium Heights. And then November 14th, Rising Heat. Each one of these speedrun levels will also come with 2 new bots to unlock. We've already seen a representation for Stellar Blade and Helldivers 2, so I'm sure there's gonna be some other surprises. And in fact, they also mentioned, yes, more surprises are on the way even outside of this. So I really like the idea of just getting these weekly drops for Astrobot, keeping it relevant and in the news. And it was fun the way they do that with just Astro's Playroom building up to Astrobot. So why not continue that for the rest of this year? Sure, these are smaller releases, but they're free and it's just kind of fun to do. And who knows, maybe they have something even bigger planned down the road. But for now, I'll be checking out that first speedrun level today. Oh, and for all of you Tetris fans out there, we did get the release date, which you can see posted up by Digital Eclipse. Tetris Forever launches on Steam, GOG, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S on November 12th. So less than a month this will release, and it's a compilation of a bunch of different Tetris games, and they really dive into a lot of the history for the franchise, which is, again, awesome for Tetris fans. I don't want to say I'm Tetrised out necessarily, because I will still play things like Tetris Effect, which is an awesome game with Tetris, the visuals, and mixing it up with some of the music and the sound effects and stuff, especially in VR. It's probably one of my favorite PSVR 2 games, actually. But still, it's a game that's going to be in there with a bunch of other titles around it, so maybe it's one I'll look into down the road. But I'm sure Tetris fans probably already have this one on their calendar again, November 12th. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with a new console that has now been fully revealed. It was technically announced, as I mentioned, I believe, last year, and this was from Analogue and their take on the Nintendo 64. Now, if you're unaware, Analogue has been around doing these newer, modern versions of older systems like Super Nintendo, Nintendo, Genesis, most recently with the Pocket that they had. And it's a good Game Boy and everything, which is great, but the issue we've run into is at first it was the availability, and then it was them just releasing multiple versions over and over and over and over again for it. But if you do have one of their products, you look at it and you go, okay, this is at least a higher quality device that can tackle these older games and put them on a newer display. That's the big thing. HDMI out, and you usually deal with some sort of 8-bit controller that, or even the original one has the actual ports, that at least makes it feel a lot better to play on a big screen TV when you're sitting back. So a lot of people were very curious about the Nintendo 64 because that's been notoriously difficult to put on a larger display with some of the issues around the way it treats the video out and the aliasing, anti-aliasing stuff it does. I have done modifications on Nintendo 64 systems where I have an HDMI port soldered directly to the board and the chip. Probably the best possible signal you can get out of the original hardware, but in this case, we can see over on their website. They, of course, have a pretty lengthy sales pitch, but I wanted to go over some of this here. They say a reimagining of the Nintendo 64 in 4K resolution, 10 times the resolution of the original Nintendo 64. I have a little asterisk here because it will depend, as some games did tackle resolutions differently, as I mentioned, with the expansion pack, but still, the first and perhaps greatest multiplayer system of all time. Analogue 3D is 100% compatible with every original N64 game ever made. Region free, has Bluetooth, dual band Wi-Fi, 4 original style controller ports, entirely new next generation analog hardware featuring 3D OS, which they do have some screenshots they show off down the page here. And they say it's engineered entirely in FPGA, which the OS here, it looks pretty standard, but I do like they have like screenshots and some other options you can pick. So there's at least some stuff going on here with the OS beyond what you may have with like their Super Nintendo or the Nintendo or Genesis system. They also say Analogue 3D brings true CRT reference quality to your HDTV in 4K. Experience the N64 with unmatched authenticity and zero lag. Say it's the N64 reborn. I mean, there are a lot of promises being made here with this one. I mean, they do have, as you can see here, the technical specifications as well as images all around the system. And the big one clearly is on the back where you have 2 USB Type-A ports, HDMI, and SD card slot, and then what looks like power, which is, looks like USB-C there. Otherwise, though, I think the system looks pretty good. I mean, it is a take on the original Nintendo 64 shape, and you can even have like the slider for the power and a button for reset. And then on the front, you do have the 4 iconic Nintendo 64 ports, and they even have the little dots below each one to show 1 through 4, and then of course that LED. They do also have an 8-bit 64 controller. Very important to note, it's sold separately, so it's not included with the Analogue 3D. That controller is going for $40, and it's just fully compatible, will even be updated through the system as vibration support, Hall effect joysticks, a turbo function. So it seems to be a very capable controller. I do still question the shape of it. And look, you can just use your regular Nintendo 64 controllers with this system wired or any other Bluetooth device, it seems anyway. So you can get a wireless N64 controller that are now sold in the aftermarket that maybe you like more. So at least there are many different options as opposed to that 8-bit controller. They also have their feature set here. Just going over everything we have. So I'm looking at this and then I saw the price, which it is coming in at $249.99. And we do have pre-orders going live October 21st, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern time. And I will say, pricing for this. So I thought about it and I said, okay, well, Nintendo 64 typically is a bit above, say, $100 online with a controller and the cables. And then if you want to do an HDMI installation, people have seen the videos I've done and they're like, that's cool. I don't think I'm going to do that. And then I go, okay, well, the part itself can range from $100 to $150. We have since had like other parts that have come out that are a bit cheaper, but still the labor cost, if you send it away to get it done, essentially it ends up being about this much or sometimes more. So with that in mind, and it's 4K and it has all the bells and whistles of a more modernized system that should work better in your entertainment setup with a big screen, it's actually not a bad price point. My thing with this though, there's no real comparison shots of, let's say, what a Nintendo 64 game looks like through AV, even like what you would expect, and then what it looks like through their analog 3D system. It does seem like that's the best way to sell it, as opposed to paragraph on paragraph on paragraph as to how awesome this thing is. It's like, just show an image with the little slider effect. Here it is on the old system through AV. Here it is through the Analog 3D. And maybe they still will do that at some point, but I mean, it's going up for pre-order, what, next week? So you feel like they'd want to do that here with the pitch before they start asking for money. That said, I've had pretty good experiences with analog products in the past, so I'm very, very interested in this one, and I will do my best to get one of these on pre-order, or maybe I can reach out to them and get like a review copy sent in, because I, of course, would like to open it up. But also, I would like to compare this to my Nintendo 64 that has the HDMI out installed directly to the chip to see how the image quality holds up and the compatibility and stuff, and maybe some of the weirder cartridges that I have. So interesting stuff with this one. Again, this is going up for pre-order next week, and we'll see how that goes. Something tells me most likely it'll be sold out probably in a couple of minutes, and then wouldn't you know it, it'll pop up on eBay for at least double the asking price here. But let me know if you're interested in picking up the Analog 3D as best as possible, obviously, with availability next week. Next up, let's talk about Black Friday, which is when people go out, camp outside of stores super early in the morning and try to get deals on all different kinds of products leading into the holidays. It was generally the kickoff to the holiday season, although I even feel like Black Friday has kind of diminished over time, especially from like 15 years ago or something, where people were camped out around Best Buy at midnight, and it's not really like that as much anymore. And to me, it's because Black Friday has now extended out and started as soon as the end of October, it feels like, online. Nonetheless, though, we do still typically have some sort of deal to look forward to with different game systems or games in general, and it does look like Sony is going to be actually participating here with a decent discount on the PlayStation 5. Now, this is coming way of D-Labs. We can see this posted up over on their website, where they do mention that while Friday, November 29th is when Black Friday would be taking place officially, we would be seeing these promotions go into effect actually a week earlier on November 22nd. Now, we do have two different PS5 bundles, technically, since these would be the slim models, but you would have one that's digital and one that does come equipped with the disc drive. And the bundle here is actually Fortnite. Yeah, it's a Cobalt Star Fortnite bundle, which I know I'm sure people read that and they're just like deflated immediately. Maybe you're hoping for a newer title that they throw in there, one that's not a free-to-play game. I mean, in this case, though, they will have download code for 8 exclusive Fortnite skins, 1,000 V-Bucks to use in game. There's something there. Okay, so let's actually talk about a discount here that would be taking place, because the MSRP on these bundles are $500 or $450 US. And you're like, oh, well, that's how much they cost anyway? Well, there is going to be about a 2-week period where instead there will be a reduction of $75 on these systems. Brand new, the Fortnite bundle, which means that the digital edition will be about, what, $375? So that's actually pretty good. And then you look around at the disc-based model at $425 brand new, which is funny because I do feel like over the past several years, we've kind of expected there to just be no discount on systems. And I know there have been some economic struggles in the background just across the board for different companies when it comes to parts and how much materials have really gone up with inflation and stuff. But I do like to see discounts actually flowing in for something like Black Friday, an event like that, especially when it comes to the PlayStation 5. And while I'm not necessarily running out looking for that Fortnite bundle, I do recognize that Fortnite is an extremely popular game, and if you can put it on the box with your system and then also discount it quite a bit, yeah, they're gonna fly off store shelves, no problem. So this does make sense from Sony's angle when it comes to marketing, and yeah, it makes sense, I'm sure, for many consumers when it comes to the price point being discounted $75. So if you're thinking about buying a PS5 in the next month or so, if you can hold off, hey, you could probably take advantage of a pretty good discount here, $75 off, provided you can find them in stock. Again, these kind of promotions tend to have these things flying off the store shelf, especially around Black Friday time. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about Halo Infinite, as we had some more information come to light around a certain game-changing mode. At least that's how it's been described. And it's been in the news, obviously. 343, now Halo Studios, Slipspace getting retired. They're moving on to Unreal Engine for the next big Halo game. But we're hearing some stuff around Halo Infinite and plans that appear to have been scrapped. This we can see was posted up. This is over on GameSpot, saying a developer at Halo Infinite's support studio, Certain Affinity, has listed a canceled Battle Royale mode for the game on their LinkedIn resume. This person said they were in charge of a large team of designers making this unannounced mode that could have been a game changer for the franchise. The developer, Mike Klopper, said, "We loved playing it and working on it was a fantastic experience in spite of its cancellation." Klopper now works at Call of Duty studio Raven Software as studio design director, having joined the team just this month ahead of Black Ops 6's launch on October 25th. Now, I can't tell you yes or no if this would have been a game changer because it didn't come out, obviously, and the person who is working on it is certainly going to see it in a much more optimistic light than maybe Microsoft had when they were trying to decide what the plan was for Halo going forward. I will say this, though. Certain Affinity is actually, the founder and CEO is Max Haberman, and you can just look at his profile here, say on Twitter. It kind of explains why I would have been interested in this one. Former multiplayer online and UX design lead for Halo 2 and Halo 3. You know, the games that most people look back with the fondest memories when it comes to the Halo franchise. So I don't know if Battle Royale would have really saved Halo Infinite, but I don't really think it would have hurt Halo Infinite at all. And it would have been something just to see their spin on it. What was the plan? And maybe that's the thing I'm the most curious about. At some point, maybe an ex-developer would talk about this a bit more in a report, just like what it was. What was the twist on Halo Infinite's Battle Royale? I could envision like Spartans dropping out of the sky, or them doing it as like a training exercise for new Spartans that were coming in or were becoming part of the program and being like genetically altered and stuff, and you make your own Spartan. Like, there are some cool possibilities there. I know going to a Battle Royale basically had Fortnite take off, but that was a different time. I don't know if just going, hey guys, here's a Battle Royale for Halo would have just turned everything around. I think there were much more significant problems there, especially with something like Slipspace, trying to keep up with the revolving door of contractors. They're always trying to learn it, and having that line up with this live service ambition that they had for Halo. Maybe that's something that Unreal can work to figure out, and maybe that is the path forward if they want to attempt a Battle Royale, but clearly they had to make a choice, and unfortunately for Certain Affinity, that choice was to cancel this Battle Royale mode. Hopefully someday we learn a bit more about what it exactly was. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, the new Analogue N64 4K console has been announced at a price of $250. Are you interested in picking one up? Okay, 72% say no, but 28% say yes. So I saw some people in the comments say, yes, I'm interested. But will I be able to, with how the ordering process goes for a lot of these systems online where they sell out in a couple of minutes? Yeah, that's the big question right now. But, you know, if they can pull this off and it's an awesome system, even at $250, and you can pop your N64 cartridges in, which at this point, some of those cartridges are worth more than the $250 system, I think it'd be really, really fun to see that work out, especially in 4K. And I'm very curious to see what that image actually looks like and how they've worked all of that out and the weird intricacies of the Nintendo 64 while still trying to keep it as true to form, I guess, with performance issues, the whole thing. So I guess we'll see. Here's hoping they maybe have a video or screenshots they can release ahead of that pre-order date, but something tells me that's probably not going to happen. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Sadie says, the museum is in Japan. Most people here wouldn't even think about unplugging something that doesn't belong to them. Oh yeah, we're in the US, we're just unplugging everything at the kiosk. We're tested, everything's being tested, okay? I remember when you'd go up to try to get a Wii remote, this is way back in the day, with like a Wii remote to test out the Wii for when it first came out, they had to take your ID from you. Or if you were testing out the Xbox 360 and they had to give you a controller, same kind of deal. This is at like GameStop. You have to leave something with them because they figure at any point someone's just gonna run away with the thing. So yeah, okay, in that case, sure. I've never been to Japan or experienced anything over there, obviously, but okay. Well, I guess in that case, it's very uncommon for people to walk up to a kiosk and their first thought is to try to unplug the wireless controller. But over here, I mean, that's just expected. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. If you missed yesterday's Newswave, I'll leave it up here in a card for you. But if you wanna check out Click R3, I said I was gonna link it yesterday, and I didn't. So I'll link it actually right down below where we talked about Sparking Zero, Silent Hill 2, and all kinds of other stuff going on in the world of PlayStation. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.